All right, you found it. It's the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video. We call it Weather for Weather Geeks. What a pristine May day we had today. Not a cloud in the sky, just deep blue skies, good visibility, low pollution, and just a beautiful, beautiful mid-spring day today. It'd be nice if it was a little bit warmer, but hey, it's a lot better than it was a couple of days ago. That being said, it was a cold start to the day, our last frost and freeze threat of the season this morning. These are some low temperatures this morning, or approximate lows. 29 and 30, fairly common in some of the colder nooks and crannies. At the Youngstown Warren Airport, we did 31 for a low this morning, 2 degrees shy of the record for today's date, which is 29, set back in 2013. And again, this is the last morning like this that we are going to have this season. The much advertised warm-up is on the way. It's going to come with a few bumps along the way, with chances for precipitation and maybe a little bit of a cool down for early next week. We'll talk about the longer range forecast towards the end of the video. After 31 this morning, we did 62 at the airport this afternoon. Still a half a dozen degrees cooler than average, but again, a lot better than Monday. Remember Monday, we had wet snowflakes and temperatures in the upper 40 or upper 30s to around 40 during the afternoon. So big time improvement over the last couple days. You'll notice only 0.18 in the rain gauge at the airport so far this month. That, of course, is well below average, almost halfway through the month of May. All right, I've gotten a few questions lately about the wind, so I wanted to address this a little bit. Some people have noticed or perceived that it's been windier of late than usual. So, being the data nerd that I am, I went back and looked through the weather records and cooked up this graphic showing the average wind speeds by month at the Youngstown Warren Airport. A couple of things going on here. I think there's some observational bias with weather in general going on over the last couple of months, ever since the pandemic, and a lot of people are spending much more time at home or outdoors and not in an office setting or inside a workplace setting. Routine weather phenomena, I think, is being noticed more and more. And it's not just the wind, it's other aspects of the weather as well. Also, we're exiting what is traditionally the windiest time of the year. From November through April, it's a pretty windy place. Now, you can blame this, if you will, partially on our latitude. Part of it is the fact that we are near the Great Lakes, in proximity to the Great Lakes, and that helps to kick up the wind speeds here locally. But November through April, that's our windiest time of the year. When it comes to what has actually happened over the last few months, the observed wind speeds in March, April, and through the first 11 or 12 days of May, all above average, but only barely. It's not really significantly, statistically significant. So it's been fairly typical, I think, wind-wise over the last few months. And again, generally, the first few months of any calendar year are a pretty windy time of the year around here. All right, the sky is still crystal clear this evening. It's going to be a great sunset this evening. Clouds will roll in later on tonight. We actually have a warm front off to our south and west, and this is what's going to start tracking our way as we head into the next several hours, and it'll be responsible for some showers as we go into the day on Thursday. It's a little bit cooler where the clouds have hung tough today in St. Louis and Paducah up towards Lexington, but with the sunshine around here, we did pretty well temperature-wise today, again, especially compared to the last couple of days. I think Thursday starts out dry if you're an early riser, but by mid to late morning, showers become increasingly likely. Nothing all that heavy, nothing crazy or anything like that. As we get into the afternoon, though, the atmosphere becomes a little more unstable. There may be a cluster of storms that tries to form during the afternoon and lingering into the early evening. This may originate out into the middle of the state towards I-71, and then may propagate eastward as we go towards 6, 7, 8 o'clock Thursday evening. Something we'll be watching out for. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center does have our area outlined in the low-end risk for severe weather tomorrow into tomorrow night. That's kind of a 1 on a 1 to 5 scale. The risk is definitely higher back towards Toledo, up towards Ann Arbor, Detroit, South Bend, Fort Wayne, Chicago, and into Champaign as well. All right, so a late day gusty storm is going to be a possibility. Then lingering showers into parts of tomorrow night. Now, Friday, we have this cold front heading our way. I think there'll be some more showers on Friday. It's still going to be pretty warm. We'll still sneak into the lower 70s, even a little bit humid on Friday ahead of this front, and maybe even a heavier thunderstorm or two before the day is through. But now it looks like, and we talked about this some last evening, now it looks like this front is going to sag far enough to the south that we've got a nice day coming up on Saturday. Now, I'm not going to be surprised if we have some low clouds and fog early in the day Saturday, but those should burn off pretty quickly, leading to a partly to at times mostly sunny afternoon and lower humidity on Saturday compared to Friday. All right, wet weather around at times tomorrow into Friday and into Sunday and Sunday night as well. In fact, I wanted to show the expected rainfall totals here over the next week. This takes us through next Wednesday. We have pretty decent model agreement here that between now and next Wednesday, between 1 and 2 and maybe even closer to 2 inches worth of rain seems pretty likely. So wetter times ahead after a fairly dry start to the month of May. Talked about those dew points a moment ago. Kind of muggy on Friday and certainly pretty muggy on Sunday. Again, we're not going to mistake this for a mid-July air mass, but dew points should make it into the mid-60s on Sunday before a drier air mass pushes in early next week. All right, let's talk about next week. The jet stream animation here. A couple of things will stand out as we go into next week. Big ridge is going to start to build across the middle of the country, right in through here. But also notice this cutoff low, which was not advertised on the modeling a couple of days ago. Now it is, and that has implications for our weather as we go into the first part and middle portions of next week. This will prevent the core of the warmth from setting up over us, at least initially. So it'll be a little bit cooler Monday into Monday night into Tuesday, even into parts of Wednesday. This upper low, though, probably does get off the playing field in enough time that the end of next week into next weekend is still looking fantastic. I still think we've got a shot at 80 or better by the end of next week, and especially into next weekend, perhaps 10, 11, 12 above average. And by next weekend, our average highs are about 70, 71. And so it's very possible, I think, by next Friday into next Saturday that we'll see our first 80-degree temperature of the season. So, yeah, a little bit of a cool down behind our front and with that upper low centered over the East Coast early next week. But don't worry, the warmth is still on track for the end of next week and into next weekend. In the meantime, we'll be keeping track of some heavy gusty storms perhaps a couple of times over the next few days. So we are your go-to source for information on what is to come and what is happening. Nobody posts more weather information in the lead up to weather events, and even when the weather is quiet, than yours truly. So make sure you're following me on all the social media outlets. I will see you back here on Thursday for more Weather for Weather Geeks.